My name's Karen Gray, and my husband Jonathan and I were called to Leeds 25 years ago. We believe God specifically placed us in the east of the city where there are very few churches, for perhaps 100,000 people, say 30 or so churches. And most of those are small and ageing congregations. So we've always had a real heart for the oppressed, the lonely, people who've been excluded or are vulnerable in some way, and a desire to work out what it means to live Isaiah 61. So over the years we've gathered a variety of people who, for all sorts of reasons, perhaps have struggled to fit into the established church or society in general. So we've got people with mental health problems, long-term sickness or chronic illness, physical disabilities, learning disabilities, people who've been adopted, abuse victims, autistic people, those who are divorced, people who are unemployed or illiterate, and some for whom English is their second language.
Over the years, we've tried different expressions of church, trying to work out Acts 2:42. We've been in city centre churches and home church. We've been in fresh expressions and, more recently, Zoom church. We've seen various degrees of success and failure. It's been hard and frustrating, and we've often felt very much on our own. There has been very slow growth, and people have come and gone. There have been some key words throughout this time, one of which was about whether we were willing to pay the cost. The other was about bringing beauty into barrenness, and these have helped us to persevere when we weren't seeing much fruit.
One of the things that we've put into place has been a number of small charitable projects which help us to connect with the community, and they're designed as a way to create a bridge for people who are interested in exploring faith, but they're also projects that are good in their own right. They gather people together for good in our community of Crossgates and East Leeds. Our community cafe, it's more than a toddler group, more than a coffee morning. It's a place where people can come and be a community together. That's been running now for 7 years, and we've seen people coming and enjoying being part of a safe community and a place where people can chat with others about faith or just about their day-to-day lives. We've also run a mental health peer support group, particularly aimed at older members of the community. And we do a reading project in our local high school where we have volunteers coming from across all the churches locally to help support teenagers who are struggling to read.
In January 2020, Karen went to India with the Yorkshire Baptist Association to see a disciple-making movement called Big Life in Action. They've seen phenomenal growth in the numbers of believers becoming disciples through a very simple model of church planting and Bible study. This combines a simple 3/3 structure of looking back, looking up and looking forwards, and reading the Bible and asking some basic questions about what's good about the passage, what's bad about it, and what does it tell us about ourselves, and what does it tell us about God. And then holding one another accountable to being obedient to what God is saying to us through that passage. There's also a really strong emphasis on sharing our stories with others, looking for people of peace and then building churches around them.
So what's been really exciting about this is that we've seen people growing in their understanding, growing in their confidence, and starting to share the good news with their friends. We've done this a number of ways. We've had the whole core of the group meeting together on Zoom, and the model lends itself very well because people share their experience and then we move on to someone else. We've also had 2 or 3 people who work at the hospital have met together over a table with face masks on, appropriate social distancing, and they've been able to do that as a 3. We've also met with individuals one-to-one, particularly for those who are newer Christians or those who are very early in their exploration. And it's been great because we've had people taking opportunities to pray for their family and colleagues. We found people sharing their faith in new ways, and in particular a new expectation that God is at work in individuals' lives because they're hearing from God for themselves. They're hearing what God is saying to them for what they need to put into practice, and it's brought a new vitality and life and enthusiasm to people's lives, and we're very excited because we're expecting growth and lots of exciting new things.